Monday, and people want content. And the fact that we can do this and it doesn't really cost us anything is incredible. And so that's why we're using all the software we can. So we're hitting live on Facebook. We are live on LinkedIn, YouTube, X, popping off everywhere. It is the Social Marketing Show, and it is Marketing Monday with Zach Hoffman. So wake it up, world. Good. I'm good, man. How are you?
Doing excellent, man. Just enjoying a little time off, partially.
Dude, it's great, but we're still here.
Exactly.
And that's the cool thing about it is that, and we were talking about this, is how do we make our businesses mobile? So moving forward into 2025, we want to be able to go right to someone's fingertips and talk to them about what we do. And this is for any business on the planet is, Zach for your ads, Pat for the organic. You take the organic, you run it as ads. Like, what do you out there? What do you do? And how can you use streaming and broadcasting and videos and marketing and social media to get your message out? And if we can help you, that's what we're here for. So Zach Hoffman, Exalts Marketing in the building. Break down what you're looking at. Zach's always got some amazing topics and stuff. He actually prepares. I just click on cool things.
Well, it's funny as you go into the week here and you're like, oh, there might be a shortage on topics. There's always fresh news coming out. I mean, we're going to talk about Nike's sales being on the decline. They continue to repeat that. Big Lots in Party City, that's the trending thing. That they're out, done. Party City's been 40 years. Big Lots been a few decades as well.
That.
Yeah, and then Reddit, their climb right now with AI, but essentially they're only going to have enough content to feed AI for the next 2 years, they're saying, before the models go looking for new content. So you want to take it away? You want to start out here with Nike?
Yeah, so break down Reddit for me. Reddit seems to be the place where the streets go to have that anonymous chat about a topic and not know who's typing anything. Is that a good description?
They did mention that in the article, how they have a propensity to get a lot of content because people can go post there in anonymous positions, confidential, and basically the anonymity of a user allows Reddit to garner so much content. They also have been essentially allowing people to publish content and had a voting algorithm, which, as we see that Google and OpenAI essentially struck deals with them to basically be pulling content from their resources, you're going to start to see that content probably become a little bit biased from the SEOs of the world and other content curators that try to manipulate the rankings. But essentially, Reddit, all the content that they've, produced, I think you're going to have, they're saying it's an AI treasure trove for information.
Man, that's unbelievable. Only the beginning of all of this. And again, anything we mentioned, folks, these are tools for you to use. These are things that you can go out there and actively install in whatever you do to help you move ahead. If it's information gathering or if it's whatever, obviously AI is going to have a huge pit of value there to go through. And a lot of people, viral creators that run agencies like mine say, go to Reddit and find comments of topics, because if people are asking questions on Reddit threads or wherever else, take those questions and start answering them in your content. So if you guys have questions, post them into the comments, and Zach and I will see what we can do for you as well. So Zach, let's jump into it. What do we got?
Well, I mean, look, going into that Reddit topic a little bit deeper.
Let's give it some beat. Let's give it a beat.
What's that?
I was going to give you a little beat. There you go. Keep going. On the
Reddit
with topic.
Reddit, they're commenting. So Google and OpenAI are the ones that license for the actual content. But then they said, what about the social media organizations? Well, they have their own AI models going right now. So you have Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, X, which I believe has some of the most natural language out there on the internet to be data mined, which is owned by Elon Musk at this point. They're saying that all of the social media organizations are utilizing their own AI models to pull back that information and aren't necessarily going to be out there brokering it so easily to Google and OpenAI. So you're going to see a battle for the eyes essentially starting to, start to evolve as the social media companies do essentially own most of that AI content or that information that's being produced they own the rights to a lot of that information that people are curating and posting out there in the natural language.
Yeah, and I think that people like Zuck are already on top of this swing with Facebook AI. It's all over my Facebook app. They got their Meta AI thing going now too. And so Zuckerberg's very good at just copying everybody else and making it better.
Hey man, they say never reinvent the wheel, right? Like, why are you going to start without the circles? So if
And
he's
I'll
got the
say it
content,
straight up. He was the first guy to have like live installation. I remember when Facebook Live first came out and I could stream me singing in the corner of the bar on Facebook, and all my friends could watch me for free.
yeah,
And it got
you're
me more
saying,
bookings. It got me more deals. It got me more leads. It got me more conversations. I mean, that's why I still use the tool today. And I think it's important for everybody to be using these tools. Get on with a friend and have a conversation, because I'm telling you that Zuckerberg wants you to get views, or no one's on the platform. They're encouraging creators to use these tools just like Zach and I are using. So I say get on it, folks. What else we got?
well, you were saying even this activity has gotten you to adapt to a lot of the new software out there. You said
Yeah,
there's
it
a lot of
has.
like integrations that only work with Facebook Live and Meta Live, correct?
Yeah, and it's funny because, and we were talking about this before we started the stream, is that I think communities are really, really big. I think that masterminds have always been big in our niche, but community is a word that I think everyone knows, where you've got a subscription model and people can pay to get to be a part of a group or community or mastermind or training system, either for X amount of days, 90-day acceleration process, or for like a yearly membership or whatever it is. But
Yeah.
I've been looking at all these different softwares to do it, because I'm like, I don't really want to use a Facebook group, do I? Or everything's tied to Facebook. Anytime you tie anything to anything, it's tied to something. So it's a good lesson for me. Like, well, if I just abide by the community guidelines and I just use the software right, and I just promote myself the right way and say this right stuff and be transparent in a well-spoken way, then I won't have any problems. Why not just do it all on Facebook? And now with this new streaming system, I can go live into my Facebook group using Meta Creator live broadcasting system, and I can plug all my DJ equipment, and you can hear the beat's been going for a minute, and like I can create a really neat atmosphere for virtual training and for virtual calls and virtual even summits or speaking, couple-hour speaking things. And so Facebook is providing these tools to people because they know it's competitive. And none of those other ones like School or Circle or whatever, you can't really go live into the group. And most of the people that would join that anyway would rather be in a Facebook group than leave Facebook to go somewhere else to get the information. You got to give people the information where they are, instead of trying to constantly take them somewhere else.
Oh, for sure. The original model with Facebook, like the original business plan they pitched Zuckerberg pitched Bill Gates with, was that he would create the operating system of the internet. And essentially he has in a lot of ways. And the beautiful thing is if you go live, like we're live right now, I believe on Facebook and Instagram, it pops up in a circle up there that basically in the stories, it says we're live. So it gets you that many more eyes, impressions, and audience to pull people in. So it definitely has a huge impact. And there's a lot of ways to, I just think there's a strong lack of content out there, and you'll start to see it become busier as people catch on to it. But the live content, the live sources, the tools they're giving you, they want the streaming live information. They want it now.
And it's so convenient because it's like, yeah, I mean, you're going to come here and film just like a lot of people do, but that can only happen when it fits your schedule. You're busy. A lot of people are busy, which is what makes it convenient, which is what also makes this convenient for consistency. Virtual calls and virtual streaming is a great way to document a whole week worth of content. And if people can go out there and just do one of these a week, it's a great way to pull valuable stuff. We've seen an incredible response on your page from the short form clips that we've been posting in between episodes too.
Oh, for sure. For sure. And we can test various forms of content, see what people are interested in. So, with that, you want to carry on to the next topic?
Let's bounce into it.
Yeah, for sure. So Nike, as of December 20th, reported that they're continuing to see ongoing sales declines. I mean, they're warning 10% deep declines, like double digits. And this is something that they're continuing to see. Myself as a parent, myself as like a business traveler, it doesn't surprise me. You just have to have your eyes open when you're going around places, or even when you're on the store shelves, like shopping for different, products, or, the different shoes that they offer. You have to, one, look at who's backing the shoes, right? Like, so their old school model of like backing an athlete, backing big sports, backing all these different things of like, mainstream economy, well, what was mainstream economy or industry, and expecting it to continue to, do what it's going to do. I think it's an age-old model, right? So if you're Nike and you're leading the retail pack, you're going to have to figure out ways to evolve, because right now they're using their retail stores as distribution. They're undercutting them on their website from a price perspective, which that recipe is never going to win. So they're going to kill their distributors eventually. But at the same time, like, like I said, back to being, as a parent, like when you look at like some of the athletes that are tied to the shoes or some of the controversies that are tied to them, at times you're like, do I really want them wearing that shoe? Or am I
Mm.
representative of a brand when I'm like basically, tied into that? So you look at some of the people that are gaining market share. You have Brooks, you have Hoka, you have OnCloud, you have New Balance.
Dude, I was about to say New Balance, but I knew you'd hit it.
Yeah,
I
privately
love New
held.
Balance shoes. They're awesome
Yeah,
shoes. And it's like
they're
you
great.
never ever see them standing for anything other than going out and running and being athletic and feeling good,
Yeah.
and blah 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 blah. And so
No,
they've steered clear of all the BS associated with pop culture and commercialization of athletics and just stuck to athletics.
well, it's a fine line, right? Nike had to revive a brand from 1985. The Dunks became a multi-billion-dollar franchise, but that's because other brands are like other aspects of them are fledgling. Like we came from a day and age when like if an athlete did something, like unfortunately, like they banned Kobe Bryant for a number of years, may he rest in peace. But at the same time, if you recall that as a kid, like Nike turned away from him. Tiger Woods, they turned away from him. You have guys
Hmm.
like John Morant, like lately, who's been like accused of like handguns and clubs and all this different stuff.
Yep.
They don't shut him down. All I see is John Morant all over Dick's Sporting Goods. Like, what's the deal? Where's the double edge? Like, kind of like, as a brand, like, and as somebody that's making the actual final purchase decision, like, kind of look at that stuff and you're like, hey, man, like, like you can't can't mix the two. Like at times, like if you're a brand, you have guidelines and you stick by certain like things of like, hey, we're going to essentially, if a athlete or a face of our brand does these certain things, we're gonna not necessarily give them full rights distribution. I mean, we had Michael
Right.
Jordan growing up, and he was always, somehow, some way, like maybe it was a different time, but he was always, just a class act and a leader in the space. And Michael Jordan, I love the guy for everything he like represents and like heart, hustle, never sitting out a game, always,
Right.
performing. I mean, you don't have athletes like that anymore. So it's like when you're modeling a brand and a business model that's based off of Jordan, if your athletes don't have that same ethos anymore or that same like inspiration, athletic or like, push to perform as the Jordan era, maybe you got to like reevaluate. Who are we going to represent? Who are we going to align ourselves with? Yeah, I say to you, it's the guy who plays basketball every Sunday with his friends, or somebody like, a family guy who's out there hustling, like, the influencers of the world, the inspirations to like others, not necessarily when you're looking at ESPN and you're seeing all these like big numbers, and the guy's like, oh, I
Right.
have a hangnail, I'm gonna sit out next week, or I don't care that the fans spent $2,000 to be here. I don't feel like playing today. Like it just doesn't fly with me as like somebody that is like part of the working environment or working community out there. I think Nike's, they're gonna continue to see a spiral if they're just only aligning with, people that are like positioning themselves to pick and choose when they want to work. It just doesn't, I don't think it's gonna jive with the buying community to float the largest retailer, the largest numbers in the market that have to be moved. It's hard to move billions of dollars of product when you're not aligning with the common man, because the common man's going to be the only person that's going to be able to push those types of sales numbers in the long haul.
Well, and I think we're also going to see a an independent creator type of sales process very soon in the mainstream level. And that means that independent content creators like TikTok users, Instagram users, Facebook users, YouTube users, etc., are going to make their own content marketing
Oh yeah.
existing products and going viral and getting that commission check.
Well, you've already seen inklings of it. I mean, look, I'm not going to touch on, Kanye, but look at the Yeezy brand, how big that became. That was almost a complete spin-off of an entity. That wasn't even like necessarily associated. Then you had
Right.
Allbird. Allbirds went huge. And these are all essential like spin-offs off the core. It's like I said, you take that Jumpman brand of Nike's that's been like the multi-billion dollar franchise and you tie it to guys that don't have the work ethic of Michael Jordan and try to sell it to today's community. It's just I don't know that's going to fly long haul. They're going to have to either, iconically float Jordan forever as long as they can for the next few decades, or pair themselves up with like modern day hustlers and people that they know are pushing the edge every day, people that inspire others to take that step and get out there and become those big achievers.
Well, and the other thing is, and maybe it's Nike and maybe it's us as the independent guys as well, but it is. So Nike and independent creators need to look at what you just said and say, hey, I mean, you've got this Jordan brand. It's legendary, but it's only one thing. And I mean, they got the pumps. Those are kind of like back right now. Like everybody has those. And then, like you said, I think it's because they're the dunks is what they are.
Yeah.
I'm not a Nike guy because my feet are so fat. I only fit in New Balance. So I have to have the New Balance width, bro. I'm coming with the width.
I had to go New Balance double E shoe for a while too.
I'm coming with
I couldn't
the
fit into
elbows.
those Nikes as a kid. Nike finally, I think, start to make a wider version of their shoe. But yeah, my foot for many years would never fit into Nike.
Nikes aren't happening for me, bro. They're just not
I
going
couldn't
to
wear
happen.
Jordans as a kid. They're a little wider these days. Give them that.
Ooh,
but
man, my feet. I got some kind of thing going on the edge there. It's wide.
hey, man.
But anyway, yeah, I think that there's a gap there. So who's going to come in and say, hey, there's all these customers, all these client avatar. There's a client avatar there. What do I need to create to appeal to those people? It's the independent creators that are going to find and fill that gap. I think you're going to find people sourcing products, building their own products like supplement lines, shoe lines, clothing lines, and you can outsource everything so you don't have to pay for the merchandise unless someone orders it.
Yeah, I mean, but if you have strong demand, it's hard to fulfill that gap. But even when you look at, so there was this old Seinfeld episode about these like old, shoes that were like reminiscent of like, just like grandpa shoes. Like, you look at some of these shoes that are taking market share from Nike, and like they have to be wondering what's going on culturally. Because if you look at like Hoka's, like, come on, dude, like really, like I wouldn't be caught in a Hoka. Like you may as well be doing like
I'm
the
not a
big,
huge
big
fan of
Hoka.
them. I'm not a huge fan of them.
I'm not a big fan. I see those in there, but I'm like, you couldn't like give
I
me a
see
free
those
pair.
other ones. They're like a D and a C or whatever it is, or a G and a C. What are
The
those?
on clouds. I mean, they were good, and then they started like going a little, trying to become more mainstream with like the big Hoka writing. I'm like, man,
Oh
it's
yeah,
like
the Hoka.
if we had
Yeah.
modern day sitcoms or people like doing some real comedy, like the Hoka Pokas, some
It
of the
just
newer
says
on
It
like,
just says I drive a Subaru with a coexist sticker to me. That's what it says to me.
maybe so. Maybe so. Regardless, man, I think Nike needs to do some soul searching because as they, continue to like milk the Jumpman brand for all they can, but then they put on a bunch of guys that can't even, get on the court because
Well, and
they
I
want
think what you're
out there.
saying is what I was saying too. It's an athletic. The Hoka thing looks like a running shoe. So it almost
More or less.
appeals to that Saucony, Asics, Brooks, New Balance, that running crowd. And I think that crowd is willing to pay premium 110, 120 bucks for a dope pair of shoes because they're
Look,
literally going to get mileage out of it.
literally, figuratively. I mean, I see a lot of them on airplanes, but the fact is like, people are willing to pay for anything. It's just like I said, you can't get to the shelf and start to like question like something because of like the name, the tag, and everything like
No.
associated with it. Like that's I think part of the challenge that Nike's going to face, like an age-old model that they've been using for decades. Like it's they're going to have to like shift a little bit. And hey, man, it's not necessarily a common man. It's going to be her. It might be that like athlete that wants to sit out. Like as a consumer, it's my call to say, hey, man, like, that guy sat out a basketball game when I went to go buy my tickets to take my son to actually see him perform. That's not Jordan
Mm,
era sports. That's not Jordan era personas. Like, we need to move on from this. We need to like, move the brand to like Nike, the brand of champions. Like, we need champions reflected in the brand, and that's how it should be pursued and moved forward. And the NBA, not to go there much, but like it's on 20% declining viewership. So like that's also another big partner. Like all these major sports are on declining viewership. Like that's hurting the brand as well. It's the champions, the everyday man that's going to get out there, strive to be in the Olympics or like certain like champions of sports. Like that's the persona that's been buying and floating the billions of dollars in sales. So we'll continue to see what evolves there. But yeah, Nike's on the continued decline. It's NBA reported 20% viewership decline this year already. So I mean, the writing's in the data, right? Like we always talk
right.
about the data, the impressions, the numbers, they're declining rapidly. They're trying to like figure out, oh, like if you go to the NBA, like do we launch a Europe league? Do we, where do we go from here? Like
Well, and I
what
think
what
there's
do
a
we
struggle
do?
here. I love that you're bringing this up because, and I think we talked about this here on the show maybe once or twice, but I'm from St. Louis, so we got the St. Louis Blues, we got the St. Louis Cardinals. The Blues, they have won the Stanley Cup now in historic fashion against the Bruins in Game 7. But my point is, St. Louis Blues fans are having a hard time getting the games. Remember, I think we talked about this, and I said they need to be
You said
streaming to the
even viewing,
fans.
yeah, you can't even watch a game. I mean,
You got to
I'm a
pay for
Marlins
this extra
fan.
cable thing, and you got to pay for this, and you
Yeah,
got to pay for that. Then the thing doesn't work. You can't log into it on your phone. I can't see the game. I'm paying for the
yeah,
game, but I can't see the game, even though I
yeah,
paid to see the game. And it's like fans are getting hacked off. And the reason
yeah.
is because I think some of these old sports teams that have been around are still trying to do these network partnerships instead of just saying, listen, we're going to sell direct to consumer and we're going to have them log into the St. Louis Blues app. And for $29.99 a month, you get to listen and watch all the games. There's the KMOX broadcast. There's the 590 guys if you want to listen to just the audio. And then there's the video stream, and the video stream plays. You can even play the video stream, pause, or excuse me, mute. You can even play the video screen. You can see how I'm like making the short form video with you. You can even hit play on the video, mute it, and then listen to the audio broadcast. St. Louis Blues fans love the radio broadcast. It's part of the culture in St. Louis. Cool. So the St. Louis Blues, $29.99 a month. You get all the streaming games in our app, and you can even listen to the broadcast with this on mute if you prefer a different play-by-play guy.
Well, even, we talked.
Everybody in St. Louis would pay for that.
Well, a lot of the eyes are on Instagram right now, or like some of the, the social networks. It's like, but the social networks know they're already getting the content, so they're not going to pay for that actual additional content to bring it into the platforms where people are. But that might be a way to save it, is like get into like where people are actually streaming and looking at their content on a daily
What if they
basis.
had a group? It's the 2025 St. Louis Blues official Facebook group, and they stream just like this right into the group, and you can literally just watch the game and comment
Well,
with your friends on Facebook. It'd be brilliant.
Well, I bet you if you look at some of the athletes on the St. Louis Blues, and we could do this analysis going into next week, but they're probably larger than the St. Louis Blues themselves when it comes to the social platforms, like some of the actual particular,
Probably.
players on the ice. Which goes to show you with like a lot of the things that we're seeing, essentially some of these personas that are on the court, on the field, essentially are on the ice. They are bigger than the team themselves in a lot of ways from an influence perspective.
Yep.
They even see fantasy sports. And like, it's funny, I was in a conversation the other day. We were talking about football, and this guy was like, I could have cared less about watching this game, but because my running back was starting for that team, I had to watch that NFL game because I wanted to see if he actually performed. They do say that fantasy sports, fantasy, stats in general have saved a lot of the viewership. So as we're continuing to grasp for strings on like live viewership and people watching, they're saying that the gamification, the fantasy aspects have actually saved or like helped with some of the data and stats to like, save some of that viewership. So it goes
Amazing.
back to, yeah, it goes to show you as to like just how the audiences continue to evolve.
Yeah, it's awesome. And then the replay value. So I think that live streaming and live events are still key, a key component, a key pillar to anything anyone's doing.
Well,
But it's that replay value and it's that community that is the next level of the way the internet's going to be used, because people are
uh,
willing to pay to be a part of something.
Oh, they're willing to pay, they're willing to play, they're willing to get out of their house. Like everybody wants to get out of their house and go do something. Yeah, which brings me to it brings us to this next topic, like Big Lots and Party City, like two iconic stores that have been throughout the country for a number of years, 800 plus retail locations for each of them. They're now both belly up, bankrupt, done. Yeah, you look at like their age-old model of how they were marketing or where they actually had the downfall. I mean, they drive, it's driving feet. If you have those retail channels, you have those distribution places. I assure you, if you're a retail store and you start to put like a live studio in there of like people like broadcasting, like, come check out this product. We have it at, your local Nordstrom or local Neiman's, like people are going to probably come to see it. They'll want to see the live stream going on probably. And then they'll also like, they'll know things are actually in the physical location and they can get out of their house and go get it. Like I believe there's still a strong market of people that want to go visit retailers and go actually partake in economic exchange, like out in the physical. It's just the stores that are going to win are going to have to bring people into the stores.
Well, right. And we deal with that a little bit now, too, because I mean, we have a physical studio. And I think that at some point, especially when you're doing what I'm doing, you want to be able to provide people the equipment and the gear and the environment and all the things that I need. I need it for me. And I
Yeah.
need to be able to provide it for my clients, because if we really want to go to the next level, and the same thing in a virtual setting, like
Oh, for
Zach
sure.
comes on the call, I make sure everything works. We got the beats, we got the music, it's all good, and we can do our stream. And so I think that
Yeah.
as a service provider, I realized I have all these tools that I use to market myself. My client base needs all these already, but the bars and the places that I was playing at were like, I don't know, social media marketing. Like, I mean, you do it and we share your stuff, but I'm like, you should be posting every night. What's the special of the day? What's this? What's that? What's the other thing?
Right.
And nobody would hire me. I don't think they had any money for it. They were probably paying me as much as they possibly could just to sing in the corner, which God love them. But at the same time, I was like, well, man, what is my audience for this? And I
Yeah.
think now it's gotten to a point where, man, I mean, if you're social media, if you're a business and I go to your social media page and nothing's been posted in 2 years, I'm thinking, are they out of business?
Oh, for sure. We have clients where we're just syndicating content. I tell them it's part of that consumer gut check to like know somebody's still in business. Is like they're gonna go whatever social media they're looking at. They're gonna go check out your different Facebook, Instagram. They're gonna check out your environment. Make sure you have some posts even in the past like week, past month to show
Totally.
that you're still alive. I mean, like consumers want to know. It doesn't have to be the greatest content at all times, but like look, it's
There's an
that bridge.
accountability factor there.
Oh, for sure. It's that bridge between that virtual and like hybrid environment, or even, when you watch Back to the Future 2 and you see what the world is going to look like according to them and does
Oh,
look like,
man.
or it's like it's video, it's display,
He had the book. He had the
you
book
know,
in
the
part
book.
two, bro. The
Yeah,
almanac.
the almanac. You know, but they definitely predicted a lot of where, virtual shopping holograms and everything's going to be going, man. You're definitely going to continue to see, I think, this rapid evolution of how people shop, how retail needs to evolve or die. It's going to be an ever-changing, landscape as to what we continue to see.
Dude, I love it. I think it's awesome. And I'm so proud of us for like embracing all these tools and these systems and using it to not only help a client base, but also just give the information away so that people can at least get started and see how simple this stuff is. I mean, it's as simple as a
Sure.
Zoom call and going live. I mean, we have a couple other little fancy plugins, but not much. And so it's really, really cool. And you can go live across
Yeah.
multiple platforms. So what else we got on the ticket today there, Zach?
Well, probably happy holidays, man. It's a big
Yeah.
holiday week throughout the country, and definitely, yeah, man, it's been great jamming,
Yeah, it's
and
been awesome.
definitely, I say, we've both been sharpening our axe, our saw as we continue to do these. So,
Yeah, it's
rock
awesome.
on
I'm
to another
glad we did it
marketing
today.
Monday
I'm glad we
for
did it
sure.
today. What's next week look like?
What's
Is it
next week look like?
is it
I mean,
the
man, there's gonna be who knows what happens in the next 7 days. We'll just have to, track the media, the news, and see what
unbelievable? I
continues
love
to
it.
hit the feed, what happens,
Well, we'll
man.
have one more in here before the new year. So,
For
ladies and
sure.
gentlemen, get active, get out there, make yourself known, make yourself heard. Zach Hoffman in the building from Exults Marketing. I am Pat Hilton with Acoustic Force Media, broadcasting live from the Content Hub of Dallas and worldwide to your fingertips. Marketing Monday in the books. We appreciate you all. Have a wonderful, wonderful holiday season.